to load the page.
Things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have no doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubt. But to wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. But I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubt. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think, well, I lie awake and contemplate tonight. Wearing me out.
1 Corinthians 6.
Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. I speak to your shame. Is it so that there is not a wise man among you? No, not one that shall be able to judge between his brethren? But brother goeth to law with brother, and that before the unbelievers? Now therefore there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law one with another. Why do ye not rather take wrong? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Nay, ye do wrong and defraud, and that your brethren. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. But ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Lord Jesus, and by the Spirit of our God. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Meats for the belly, and the belly for meats, but God shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. And God hath both raised up the Lord, and will also raise up us by his own power. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ, and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid. What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's.
Good evening. The date is December 14, 2015. Welcome to the Watchman News, and we are your hosts. I'm Mike Callahan. This is Jennifer White next to me. And who do we got over there?
Hey, thank you, first of all, both of you, Mike and Jen, for having me on. And for all of your viewers, my name is Michael Connolly. Ironically, me and Mike share the same initials.
Roger that.
Even down to the middle name, D. Maybe we should have the MDC hour one morning.
Yeah, there we go. What was the name you said?
The MDC hour.
Oh, Jen had one too.
Tiana told me this morning it should be Jen and the M&Ms.
That would be lovely too. That even rolls off the tongue. I don't know. Did you specifically pick that verse this morning?
No, that's just where I was at.
That was so synchronistic.
Yeah.
What he said when we talk about, is there not one of you wise enough to be able to judge amongst your brethren?
Exactly.
I think that's going to tie a lot into what we're going to be doing here. And then in my own personal life, there's issues going on where the temple of God and the Holy Spirit dwells within you, and how certain sins are acts against the body. Those are very synchronistic. I just like to point that out.
Well, yeah, and it also speaks to me, and it says a lot, because it seems like the governments like to use the book of Romans as a source of righteousness for their control, so to speak. And this speaks to exactly the opposite of that. This speaks to the fact that they are just people. They aren't assigned by God. They aren't, ordained by God. We are supposed to be dealing with matters with each other, not with having somebody that was just assigned a position as a middleman. If I'm to steal from you, we're supposed to work that out amongst ourselves, not have a middleman, not have a court involved. The court is supposed to be the church, not some building you go to in the middle of town.
Yeah, and for the new followers that are coming in, maybe on my side, I don't want them to get the wrong message. When we say that we are Christian, we mean that very literally in the true original message that has been perverted, perhaps about 2000, really it's around 300, 400 AD. This got very bad, and hopefully over the show we'll continue to cover exactly why and how and where these things got perverted, what's original and what has been indoctrinated in over time.
Right. And that's what Jesus himself was very careful not to take upon a title for himself. They asked him to be the king, and he pretty much denied the thought of being a king or a leader or anything like that. He wanted to be just another one of the brethren. And I think that speaks for a lot. Today, when you go into churches, you see the pastors or the clergy, and they automatically they put themselves above the congregation, and I think that's totally incorrect. In fact, I think if a preacher steps up on a stage, that automatically signifies mentally and in many other ways that they are above the congregation, and that's not the way it's supposed to be done. They're supposed to be in amongst their congregation, their cloud, so to speak. See, that's a common misinterpretation of the Bible when they say the word cloud. Well, that's interpreted to the word cloud. A lot of people think a fluffy white thing in the sky, and that's not the case. Cloud in the Bible, in biblical terms, is just a group of people.
And the unity should be equal, as they always say, brethren. And I had missed the point, but never mind.
Well, it's just, there's a lot that when you walk into a church that automatically things are assumed.
Yeah, you had mentioned when you get up on a stage, it's instantly going to disqualify you. And you notice that the whole atmosphere of a church, I raised Roman Catholic, and the atmosphere of a church is just so, allows you to just become in such a complacent mindset all of a sudden. And just to kind of accept without really wanting to question it, you just feel comfortable with everyone. It's just like a Masonic lodge. Exactly. In no way is what was talked about in these scriptures as far as what a church is, community.
Exactly. So, I mean, I've always been kind of careful not to be attached to any things like that, to any certain things. Let me get rid of a window here. And I normally start the show off with doing let's see, from suspicious observers, if you're aware of that. And let me go ahead and get him brought up. I should have had him brought up ahead of time. I am so grounded. So how's your day been?
Same old.
Yeah, I hear you there.
It was still staying fairly nice over here as far as the weather. We were in the mid upper 60s. Oh. Gave us a few showers, kept the heat in.
Oh, that's good.
It reminds me of a Bill Hicks reference one time. In one of his bits, he was talking about how depressing the news is. When you turn on CNN, it's all about war, death, poverty, famine, AIDS, hunger, and starts repeating. And then he says, you look outside your window and it's just crickets.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about a lot how easy it is for people not to understand the global state of affairs because of how far removed it has been made to us, both geographically, via your media, your education system. People just are very apathetic unless something's happening to them in their life.
Exactly. It's very true. Let's go ahead and get suspicious observers out of the way and show just how exactly small the Earth and our problems are. One moment.
Good morning, folks. I can feel the itching to keep discussing yesterday's top story. Billy and I recorded about 25 minutes of discussion last night going over all the journalism surrounding the scientific release. I'm applauding some of it and horrified at the audacity of so-called experts and others. Lots of chatter abounding, but much of it is not even aimed at the actual issues. I'll try to get that video posted for you tonight or tomorrow. Anyway, let's come to spaceweathernews.com and start zoomed in with the last 24 hours of our star that began with a pop in CME that occurred right after yesterday's news. The ejecta is not Earth-directed, but we do indeed get the visual splendor of a gorgeous canyon of fire, a solar tsunami. It produced Sea Flare Mountain there, standing alone in the middle of the last day of solar flaring. On the north, we can see a couple plasma filaments dancing in now. There'll be eruption threats this week. See if you can spot the dark coronal cavity oval positioned atop the filament. If the coronal fields up there don't settle down, those filaments won't survive long enough to face Earth. And of course, this isn't the big story on that quadrant of the Earth-facing disk. That belongs to the sunspots, biggest ones in weeks, and this will provide a true test of the Earth-facing solar quiet effect. You can see the umbral magnetic field loops here in 171 angstroms. All of those connect positive sunspots to negative sunspots. Their interactions are what help drive flaring, so let's peek in on them. They've got size down, but let's see about the magnetism. Red negative in front with blue positive in back, and don't forget that the surrounding colors are not part of the sunspots, but they're the surface plaguing or the penumbral magnetism, which is not what we look for in terms of flaring. This actually needs that empty area in the middle to gain some umbras before it can go hard. Solar wind speed is dropping fast, and we've returned to ambient calm in near-Earth space and in Earth's magnetic systems. Next thing coming is a coronal hole, but you'll remember the previous one, powerful coronal holes that also triggered a number of large quakes. Well, this current opening facing us is still turning, and its stream will arrive to Earth tonight or tomorrow. But I'm leaning towards tomorrow given the lack of outward power associated with that opening. Another reason why our quaking has been depressed with this event compared to the last one. A point of unfathomable frustration. For 3 years now, we've watched the SOHO-LASCO feeds be pristine, unless a relevant CME or sun-diving comet comes in which case the data begins jumping, missing frames, and being delayed sometimes an entire day. Well, about 10 days ago, we said we had a plan to expose that entire thing, and since that night, they have skipped and jumped and delayed every 8 hours. So literally, beginning 8 hours after that statement, the SOHO feeds appear glitchy all the time now. Convenient. Anyway, down under, take a breather. I'm focused well north of you. Typhoon really snuck in there to the Philippines. It was just a weak little thing 36 hours ago, but now we've got wind and flood threats, and of course, because it's the Philippines, we worry about seismicity beneath the Earth spot. Eyes open. Coming to the United States, we can see the eastern convergence of the low-pressure Earth spot in the middle of the country. That spin is slamming warm, moist air into frigid, dry air right at the storm line, and when you have to equalize pressure, moisture, temperature, and electric potential, you're going to have energetic release and movement. We're also going to come over to the North Atlantic, where 2 more systems are dancing in here. Take a moment to mention the temperature differential between Eastern and Western Europe is bonkers right now. Folks, as I said, I've got a video I hope to finish for you and get out to you tonight. It will appear on the Deeper Look page of suspiciousobservers.org, and it will be public. Just a reminder, the conference videos will become members' content in 2016, so at this point, stragglers, you're really running out of excuses, aren't you? And of course, we hope you come out to our last public event for at least a while, Phoenix 2016. No better place to be in January. We've got your current global conditions and shots of our star to close. It's 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Oops.
Never heard of him until this moment.
Really, it's something I watch every morning religiously. I see what's going on with the sun, CMEs. It all ties into the theory of the electric universe, and he's pretty accurate when it comes to reporting and predicting earthquakes and stuff like that because of the electric Earth principle.
I got something for you.
Okay.
I'd like to get this opened up a little bit.
All right.
What, because I know very little, and I try to research it, but I want to hear your opinion. What do you think, and what is up with CERN? Besides just being do you think it's purely just a research lab, or, how some people have gotten with CERN over the past few years?
I'm sure that it is a research lab, but I think that they have a lot more going on there than what they are openly stating.
Have you ever gotten into it, like to really get obsessively studying what they're doing? And one of those people who are like, some people are like, they're going to open up a black hole one day, but I'm not saying that far. But just what do you think of CERN as far as HARP, CERN, and then you talk about the sun, how it's related to Earth as far as weather changing and geoengineering?
Well, I have dug into it enough to know the concepts and the principles of what they're doing at CERN. And I would say, from my knowledge of magnetics and electrical impulse and all that, it almost seems to me that there's a bunch of things they're doing, but it almost seems to me that they are trying to work with either time travel, or some type of like a propulsion. How do you say it?
Or just free energy device. I mean, not that we already don't have it, but a free energy to power the whole grid.
But they've had that, though. They've had that technology since Tesla's days. They've already had that. So I mean, that's
what if this is what it's evolved into then?
I don't know,
I'd like to get some people, I wish more people were watching in the future when they watch this, comment on us and tell us what you think about CERN and what places we need to go. The reason why I bring the subject up is because I know very little about it, and I don't know where to begin to look on that kind of subject. Neither do I really care, but I know a lot of people care about that. So,
well, there's so many things that they could be doing. From simply, it could be simple scientific research. There could be something very malice behind it, because it does. If you watch the Earth's magnetic fields when they fire that thing up, it really sends them all wacky. And if they were to do that, if they were to fire CERN up at the exact time that we have an incoming CME, it could cause the kill shot that you've heard about. And that's the reason I watch Suspicious Observers every day, because people that expect their government to tell them when we have a boogeyman coming, that's not going to happen. They'll put us in fear when we don't have a boogeyman, but they definitely won't tell us when we do. So they like to control the fear.
You ever heard of the Global Consciousness Project?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
It has to. I'm going to send you a few links about it. If anyone's ever heard of this or not, it's pretty interesting. And they've been running it, I don't know what time, maybe 99, 2000 they started, maybe even before that. And it basically, in some way, this is a very bastardized way, excuse my language to say this, because I really don't know, but to measure the magnetic resonance between the surface of the Earth and in the atmosphere, trying to cut out everything from the inside and from the atmosphere, but what's just going on the inside and where we are, basically everything above sea level to the atmosphere. And on the morning and the night before of September 11th, they saw the largest spike. And then about 2 days after, it went back down, and they've never seen a spike like that again. And I don't know how to explain it properly, but you see where I'm going with it as far as it could even be, if anyone ever has gone into cymatics or anything, there's very possible that human emotion and intention and mass hive mind hysteria could actually be affecting the physical structure around us, the Earth's magnetic resonance.
Well, I do believe that there's definitely weight to that, simply because of how our bodies react to the natural frequency that the Earth puts off. There's a
Sent you that link.
Okay.
It's a bigger one, so I don't expect you to do it now. But if anyone knows anything about it in the future, comment. And that's some of that interesting technology that obviously it's not even a weapon. It just really tells you about how much we are affecting, not physically the reality by our actions, pollution or whatever, but how just our raw emotion and our intentions can disrupt the balance around.
Oh, exactly. I was trying to bring that up, but I didn't catch it in time, and I think if I change my view, I think it will mess up the cameras I have set up. Yeah, I don't see it in there. You could actually set it in, you could send it to me in the news chat. If you wanted to send it there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I didn't realize that you could also put it up on, I thought it had disabled links for some reason there. I see it. It said, oops, remove any web addresses and try again.
I'm trying to get, there you are, right there.
It says one person watching.
Yep.
Wonder if that's not us, if it's someone else, if you'd like to comment.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. But, yeah.
3 watching. Oh, my God, in one moment. Okay. Hey, guys. Hello, everyone.
I
keep putting this up on social media, see if we can get some more of the family together.
There we go. You might be able to paste a link now. I just set you as a moderator, so try again.
Okay, so I can zap people.
Yep.
All the trolls. No, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that for a while.
No.
He's going on a power trip.
Oh, someone left already. That's hilarious.
As soon as we get a coffee protected laptop, then
we have. I guess we could use this as a live call-in. Hello.
Who is this?
Me, and you're live on the podcast.
Oh, you're on. I thought it was one of your buddies. Your comments are disabled.
Comments are disabled. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Just want to let you know.
Yeah, apparently, yes, they are. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Get back to work. Are you on right now?
No, yeah, I just find it funny that the way the phone call works, they're live calling line.
Yeah, well, right now I'm looking at you holding something up in front of the Skype. Or is this time delay or what?
That's the phone.
Oh.
There is you.
I'm listening. Yeah, delayed reaction.
Yeah, our Skype feed is about 3 seconds ahead, obviously.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I forgot about that. And you're right. I forgot about that. Okay, yeah.
So I'm watching myself in a different dimension of time. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know. Kind of. It's I'm way ahead of you, actually, because I'm going to tell you the future.
All right.
3 or 4 seconds.
Well, thank you for telling us. Yeah, are the comments back up, Mike?
Not yet. I'll
tell you in this end, because this is the end you want to know from anyway, what you say.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say disabled for this video. I'm on the YouTube channel. Okay.
No, yeah. Well, the comments on the bottom below it should be disabled. It's the live chat on the right. The comments below the video, below the actual screen, should be disabled, but to the right of your video screen, you should
got it. Yeah.
Live chat.
So that's where you guys take comments and crap like that?
Yeah, that's on a live feed. I already put something up as far as liking, commenting, and sharing and all that.
Okay, well, I was listening. Oh, I see it now. I didn't have my glasses on, Mike. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
And I always pay no attention to that. So you talked about encouraging comments. I looked down. Fucking thing shut off. Then it started to be an issue, and I figured I better call. I figured one of your buddies would be there to pick up the phone, and I was just going to tell him, Michael.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
And I did just update the.
Am I being heard?
All right, well, we updated anyway.
Yep.
Okay, but I'm not being heard saying anything on the phone, right?
No, not loud. I don't think it's loud enough.
Okay, I'm a delayed reaction here. It's great house. When you picked up, I just wanted to find out who it was. So this is Terry down the street from Michael. I have no idea you picked it up. Oh, by the way, I just have to tell you this. You're doing great. I love your spontaneity. Much better than by the
Yeah, you're hilarious, man. Thank you so much. We'll just have like an hourly improv calls from Terry every episode, just to lighten up the mood from the Illuminati research.
Yeah, they're coming by different characters.
Yeah, call in different accents and characters.
Oh, absolutely. I got you covered on that. Am I interfering here?
No, not at all, because we're still, we're just kind of going back and forth. We're still trying to get a few more people to watch, but regardless, we'll get our hands dirty.
I was a little puzzled at the beginning of the show, which turned out not to be the beginning of the show.
Oh, yeah, no, we had a few issues, as technology's renowned for.
So was that his end, your end, or is it?
I think it was a little bit of Skype. It's Skype itself. All right, well, give me an idea, maybe in the future we could have some form of call-in on Skype or a home phone.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be interesting. Well, yeah, give a comment if you can, and I'll let you go. Tell me if anything else, if the audio is out, if brightness is weird, things like that.
No, it's fine. Everything else is fine. Everything's all good. You want to center yourself a little bit more to your left.
Yeah, over the desk, I've noticed.
Yeah, maybe do a little leaning,
Yeah.
Like you're in a bar. Oh, by the way, you're already covered on that. But otherwise, because you're right on the far right border of the screen, sometimes you even go out completely. Yeah, right there is perfect. Right there, position your chair, whatever.
All right, I'm just going to put another thing back up on social media, join the live chat. And, otherwise, we'll be good. I appreciate. I'm talking to Terry. Are we still on the phone?
Yeah, I'm watching you talk to like 6 or 7 different people. Somebody passing that looks like a bong back and forth.
I'm like, what? Where? I'm looking around.
I'm only kidding.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
I don't even know if you're replying to me or talking to the guy there or talking to somebody.
I'm on purpose talking out loud to anyone who's willing to listen to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just to keep yourself centered. And I was wondering, too, do you think it would be a good idea to bring a little more notoriety to this? So hang up, call back, and I don't know, 15 minutes with a bomb scare or something?
No, we're not going to pull any InfoWars false flags on this show.
And by the way, I'm only kidding.
Oh, yeah.
The type of stuff Donald Trump does.
Yeah, we're definitely going to touch on that. We have a few words to say about the Trump Meister, but
I'm sure the whole world has.
Yeah.
Well, it seems interesting, and I'm not going to refrain from saying anything else now because I don't know if anything is being picked up by it.
It probably is at this point. I'm pretty sure almost everything has.
God bless America.
You better cover yourself.
I like to from start to finish in 1 hour today.
You got to be a targeted individual.
Yeah. And I spent 30 minutes at the soup kitchen. Out and went to church on the way home. An open church. I'm not really going to be a Catholic or
Is that right?
and it's just like I have strong faith.
Stop your peacocking.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's kind of like summer way maybe for me. And this is only in the event that this is somehow being picked up and people are listening to that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the views, obviously, for this episode are going to come post the live stream. But,
so you guys are just basically having a random conversation about different things.
Yep. It says 2 people watching. I don't know if that does that include me?
I don't think so.
That I don't know.
If it doesn't include us, then that would be one other person, because Terry on the line is one person. That would leave one other person.
Well, are you hooked up with him on Skype right now?
Yeah. But I'm also watching I also watch the YouTube feed for the comments and the hypothetical chance someone actually wants to talk about something.
Well, I'll say this. I turned it in, or I tuned in late, because I turned it off for a little bit. You know, I got back probably about a quarter after, because it was like 7 or 8 minutes after, and I've been sitting there waiting and going to all the different links you gave me. But I turned it back on, and you guys were in the same screen you're in now. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I picked it up there, and then you went into, I'm not quite sure I understood this. But something about the planets and you showing pictures on the screen.
Oh, yeah, you tuned in. I had just heard of that again. What's it called? Suspicious Observers?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I've never heard of this, so I wanted to say it out loud again and plug it, because that was really interesting.
Oh, okay. The point I was going to make, though, that's all I've seen, and then you guys having a quick exchange there, and you making a comment the second time about people commenting, and I'm thinking, someone's got to let you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it. Anything else, also call or...
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that you could pick up the central. Otherwise, I'm going to get the hell out of your hair. And the point I was making, though, is it's hard to comment unless I'm really well-versed in anything you're talking about in particular.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Or or for the sake of the lighting's not working, or, you know.
No, not necessarily that. It's just you're 2 sparks of intelligent energy throwing it back and forth across a ping pong table. But it's kind of like a random hodgepodge type of conversation.
Yeah.
Although it's great information, and it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to comment on, because by the time you get a comment, it'll be like...
Oh, yeah. Well, also, I know it's also going to be 5 minutes behind. Well, eventually we'll have more of a agenda for each show of mandatory topics to cover for certain segments.
Yeah. No.
And by the way, I'm looking at the screen now, and everything is kind of frozen. Is that what you're saying?
No, my screen's still going. Could be your computer.
Yeah, if he's frozen, he can refresh.
My computer?
Yeah, you might have to refresh it, because YouTube live streams are still a little itchy for my computer, even.
Okay, yeah.
And he should.
Really? Okay, that sucks.
Now comments should be enabled too.
Okay, comments should be able, and the live chat should be up.
That is Gary. Oh, Gary Foster.
There you go.
Who's Gary Foster? Hey, Jerry, get that punk kid out of here.
Another troll.
How long ago did you post that?
That would have been around 7 o'clock.
Gary.
We're already 45 minutes in. Oh my god.
Yeah, 7:42.
God, time already flies. I didn't even talk about anything.
So you guys, I told you did not start at 7. So
No, we started a little bit late.
But you going to end it at 8? Is that how
I don't know. No, we're just going to see how it goes.
Okay.
Is that right, Mike? We'll just play it by ear then?
Yep.
Yep.
Sign in the chat. How do I please sign in?
Google account.
Oh, okay.
A Gmail account would work.
Yeah, okay. Just look at that, because I never really comment. It's not this way in my videos. I'm usually pirating them. Oh, well, not that. No, you know what I mean. Yeah. Now you've frozen on me again. Does it go out that much?
It shouldn't be.
But you've frozen on me again.
My YouTube is still going fine.
Yeah.
Just refreshing it again. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm
Hey, Mike.
I'm
Mike,
still
hear me?
everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to get off the phone, because when I just rewound it to refresh this, I am the prominent voice of
Oh, you'll be good. It's for the sake of getting the show adjusted, because we need to know we're not going to be able to tell if there's issues like that, obviously. So. Until it's too late.
Now, look at I said, like,
And now you know what it's like. Now we're in a three-dimensional loop.
Well, I mean, it's horrible because I knew what I said at the time, and I realized you can hear it loud. And I don't hear what I said.
Yeah, I had to use the speaker because I had the headset on. Well, here you are, and I will let you go otherwise.
Yeah, really. For incriminating myself. Thought you had a good job.
All right, brother. Thank you. Right. That was my neighbor and best friend and brother Terry.
Right on.
And he's hopefully we'll hear from him also throughout the future, especially when there's really juicy subjects to talk about.
Alrighty. Yeah, wow. So where do we go from here? I've just noticed the news just been firing.
Yeah, we could just go over down on news websites and see what we want to pull out. We have Trump coming up as an ever-occurring subject.
Yep.
But the thing is, I'd only just like to say a few things about it. I'm not right now even on the top of my head, but I just don't want to give him. I don't want to give him my calories of talking about him.
Right.
That's how little respect in this, as a subject I want to give him.
Well, and like I've been trying to explain to people all along, I probably best stated it on Facebook earlier. I made a comment in reply to somebody, and I can't remember.
Oh, we have another phone call. And it's telemarketer. Jesus Christ. Anywho. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who you were telling to go ahead. So.
Oh no.
I'm trying to pull it up now. It was a comment I had made to somebody earlier in.
I think I did catch it. It was his initials like B.A. like Bob something.
No, I don't think so. It was M.M. But This is what I said about Trump. I said if you listen closely. None of them stand for the Constitution anymore. None of them really stand for the people. Certainly none of them stand for the freedom and liberty we were promised. They all want absolute domination for their personal ideals. That is not what this country is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the rights to the individual, not forced by the mobs or simulated by the media mobs. So,
and no matter what side we're talking about, it's going to end in the socialist welfare state, no matter what. They're all basically going to have the government become a much larger big brother entity for us to look up to regardless. There's no viable candidate this time, even on I seen in the independent side.
Right. I mean, it shouldn't, the whole to bring up gay marriage, for instance, that shouldn't even be in our courts. That shouldn't even
Thank you, first of all. It has nothing about what I care about abortion, what I care about gay marriage. It's a certain person's or a certain entity's right to talk about that. And it's not the federal government, and it's really not exactly the state government's even right to talk about that. That's a very local municipal level.
Right.
It's completely unconstitutional to have any laws. Legalizing it is illegal, and illegalizing is illegal. They're neither one you're allowed to do.
And back in the biblical days, there was no legal marriage. It was all marriage by, by the clergy, by those that were assigned from God, or however you want to put it, because the ordination was pretty much the same back then. A man of God would appoint other men of God, and it was pretty much the same. There was no legal order. When Joseph married Mary, they didn't go to the courthouse. It was and you didn't have to. That all was. They did that basically to get a fee, So
is it technically also unconstitutional for marriage to have anything to do with taxes and tax exemptions? And because it's not really, as much as that's nice, and we all love that, it's not really their job. And that is very supposed to do in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a religious thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a bond. It has something to do with the state.
Right. And there's so much that doesn't. And even fishing permits and hunting permits on a state level, those are inalienable rights to be able to provide sustenance for yourself. that's an inalienable right. You shouldn't have to ask permission or pay a fee to be able to go fish or to go hunt, or these are all things that we allowed the government to encroach on us, and now that they've already moved the line in the sand, we have to fight like hell just to be able to get any of our rights back. Sam?
Yeah, they pass certain things with the assumption that it is also going to be part of the solution. Being part of the woods as you are, I have the problem with having rangers around. I might seeing a ranger who's going to check out what I'm doing. I hope there's someone who can make sure I'm not taking 1 million salmon out of the river or killing young does.
Right.
I understand we have to have a certain control, but it's who is giving the control, and to what level are we have to give up our own rights for it.
Right, and we also have to watch who our quote unquote friends are. Like I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter, but I absolutely am against anything the NRA stands for. And the reason why is because the NRA has been selling our rights. I mean, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. It doesn't mean, well, unless, it doesn't mean that. It really doesn't mean that. This whole felony thing with not being able to own a firearm is ridiculous, because there's people that have felonies over absolutely little things, really, and they're getting worse with it. Well, look at this guy up in...
If you grew one cannabis plant to maturity of 16 weeks, then you're never allowed to own a firearm.
Right, exactly. And
a plant.
Yeah, and they're extending it. Like I know you probably heard on Pete's show about this guy up in New York that he got raided. He had a bunch of firearms. Apparently, he had a little marijuana in his safe. And
more. I'm sorry, I have a lot. Tell more. I should just answer it and have them come on the live show. Like, hey, welcome to the Watchman News.
But this guy, he had a rifle, and the barrel was apparently a little short for New York's laws. And so this guy is now currently being charged with terrorism charges. I mean, this guy who fought for, if I'm not mistaken, he's a veteran. He had fought for his country. Probably one of the more responsible gun owners we could ask for, and now they're charging him with terrorism charges, just simply because the length of his barrel was a little too short. That's ridiculous.
There's a huge difference when you're in the metropolis, high population areas, and the lower population areas, and they use that against them. I think we've almost effectively covered Baltimore, New York City, Chicago, Detroit, DC is on its way there. LA, areas like that. Even thank God Texas has not been affected yet, or as much as far as the major cities like New York. But they're almost completely disarmed. And the only people who are going to have firearms are your government entities like the police or sheriffs or whatever higher, and then criminals.
Right.
And as Pete always says, when seconds count, the police can only be there in minutes.
Right. And I keep, I've been saying long before Pete had started saying it about the people. We are the first responders, not the police, not the paramedics, not the people that are on the scene at the time are the first responders. And it's not any disrespect to EMTs or police or fire or anything like that. It's just a fact. You can't expect, the only thing that police can do in reality, and unless the guy wants to get caught or the guy is absolutely stupid, the only thing that the police can do is clean up the mess and try and figure out who did it. That's really all they can do. They're not in a position to where they can actually protect. And
also they've given such a stigma to being a police officer or a sheriff, as if when you put on that uniform, you all of a sudden become a whole new human being with a new constitution and a new set of rights.
Right.
And that's what we used to, and everyone should know this. There's a time in this country, and it wasn't that not far long ago, maybe most of you listening, or even you guys remember a time where, especially down here in the South where I'm at, your sheriff was someone you called on the Friday to come over and have a barbecue with.
Right.
and have a couple beers with, and you knew him personally, and you knew about his mom being sick or this and that, and everything was very personal in the community sense, and we've lost that, and it's not accidental.
No, it's just like everything else. It's been, people have been deep compartmentalized to the point to where there's no caring, and it goes everywhere from whether it be law enforcement to even jobs. Back during the days where you had your small mom and pop stores and stuff like that. For instance, if you worked for the local Five and Dime, the owner of the place knew you. They knew your family. They knew that you couldn't just be laid off, that you had kids to feed, or they knew that you had to make a decent wage, and they cared about you. They personally.
Well, that's the best way to crumble the economy from the inside is you get the middle class destroyed. Most of the middle class by fundamental or principle is entrepreneur, sole proprietorship, or partnership, startup companies and businesses.
Exactly.
And we've seen over the past 30 years outsourcing. And then let me say, as you guys might notice, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so I can give a good perspective as far as just coming out of high school less than 10 years ago, being at the age where I should be in college. And public education has robbed you of the idea of maybe fine-tuning your skills to the point where you can entrepreneur yourself into a business.
Right.
Instead, they want everyone to go to the same, as you said, compartmentalized or marginalized, same set of little blocks, like some kind of newspaper cartoon everyone can go through.
He just politely called us old.
Well, it's good. Also, I hope people see that this is not some bunch of fat guys in their mom's basement with tinfoil hats on. I mean, this is affecting every person, color, creed, age, race. This is an information.
Right.
This is a consciousness issue. This is not anything of a phase that you get into. This is everything else besides this is a phase. This is the normal state of a mind of critical thinking and opinion.
Here's the thing that I never could get. I can't get how the powers that be are getting so many people behind them when it comes to making livable wages. I don't get that. You got some guy that's worked at, I have a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention any names, worked at the same place for over 30 years. Don't get me wrong, he's in a position to where you got to know something, but absolutely does not think that anybody should make any money but himself. Okay. And I don't get that because, I just don't get what is the harm of somebody making a living wage. When I believe it was Roosevelt or whoever that put that in, it was a living wage.
In the New Deal?
Yeah. Not a minimum wage. It was a living wage. They're
a wage that can balance and adapt with the economy and it changes.
Right. Like, for instance, here's the result. There's a lot of people that are complaining about all the people that are receiving food benefits, the SNAP benefits. But what they don't realize is about 70% of those people are employed. But they make so little money, they have to have help buying food. So it makes no sense to me why they're not looking at the facts. It's like they're using pure emotions, being like, oh, well, that guy flipping burgers at McDonald's, he doesn't deserve to make.
Well, it's not that they are using that. They're trying to subliminalize that logic. They are effectively slowly trying to crumble this from the inside. And that's how you get it, is you get kids between the age of 16 and I'd say maybe even up to 30 in a predominantly low-end interchangeable jobs that are really very valuable. I don't know what the proper word would be, but exchangeable even.
Right. Well, and that's just it. You take somebody like my buddy. He's got, and I've explained it this way a million times. He's got his life set up a certain way. He knows he can pay these bills and these bills and these bills. He takes a lot of nice vacations. He goes and does this and the other thing, and he knows he can afford to do it because he knows what his paycheck's going to be. But if he were to lose his job next week, okay, he would wind up losing almost everything he owns, because there is no way that he would be able to get back and make the money that he's making now, because that's the way that they've worked the system. They've worked the system.
Okay, I like where we could turn that into the fact that the money, in certain situations, you're going to fall into poverty much faster and much easier, and the risk is much deeper, and the hole is much wider when your money is completely hollow.
Exactly.
And you have nothing to back it.
Exactly.
And I'd like just to plug real quick, and you already know about this, executive order, anyone research this for watching the video or afterwards, executive order 1110 in June of 1963. And you're going to see why exactly what happened to Kennedy happened in November.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He tried to basically give the U.S. dollar silver and gold certificates on, which would have changed it from a Federal Reserve note to a gold certificate receipt or a silver certificate receipt, which would make the Federal Reserve and the IRS obsolete.
Yep. Yep.
Which I'd like to tie this back into Trump and all the presidential candidates. I don't care if you are literally Christ or Muhammad walking. It's not really going to change those who are behind the system, because as we see what happened, you could get yourself hurt, killed, your family hurt or killed, tainted, blackmailed. So they've already hijacked that part. There's no point of that. I'm getting really scared. So many people like behind the Bernie Sanders movement.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same way they're behind Obama for hope and change.
And I've already said it many times, and it still stands. You'll know when somebody runs for office that is, I've got headphone problems. You'll know when somebody runs for office that actually wants to help the people, because they won't make it to office. Or if they actually do make it to office, they won't be alive very long.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly.
You know, and that goes into everybody, no matter who you're rooting for. If you're rooting for a political candidate, you don't understand the problem, because those political candidates, the president, Congress, they really are not in control. They're not.
No.
If we had a government right now that actually had some cojones and actually stood up for the American people and actually said, no, we're not going to take part in the International Monetary Fund. We're not going to take part in the global banking system. We're not going to take part of all these huge corporate entities. NATO and the UN would instantly be bombing us. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. If you go back and you look at all these countries that we have, that we have taken our freedom to, they were all countries that had their own banking system. They weren't,
and they pulled out from the U.S. dollar shortly before. Gaddafi from Assad now, even Hussein even pulled from. I'm not condoning any of their actions, liking or disliking, but it was not anything because of what they did. It was not a war on freedom or terrorism. It was economic interest having to find its way.
Well, yeah, because they all had their own banking systems. They had their own currencies that were backed by gold. And, that's like the weapons of mass destruction. There were no weapons of mass destruction. We knew that from the beginning. They had gold caches. They had these huge, huge underground vaults of gold. That's what our military went there to go get. It wasn't about weapons of mass destruction. It never was.
No, and oil wasn't even the main one. That was a side effect, not a side effect, but an extra perk to it. A lot of people say the whole thing is for oil. It doesn't work like that exactly. That was an extra perk for it.
Right. And
as well, the poppy fields. Everyone should know that the U.S. military has been proven, maybe up to this day, are also guarding the poppy fields.
Yep.
Guarding them.
And you can go back and search this too. They had to use a little bit more, a gentler touch with the Ukraine, with that whole ordeal where Russia supposedly invaded Ukraine and took back Crimea and all that. If you go and you look, you research the news, you'll find how their gold in the Ukraine. I guess they went to go check on their gold in the vaults, and come to find out their gold was switched out. It wasn't gold anymore. It was, I don't know if it was painted lead, or I think it was tungsten, actually, that had been painted. Their gold was stolen. So, that's basically what this global banking system is doing. They're taking everybody's ability to support themselves away. They're taking the ability to actually be sovereign when it comes to a banking system. Now, what I don't understand is why humans are falling for it in the first place. You see, that all these countries owe all this money. Who do they owe this money to? Seriously.
And that's where you see it's hollow on the inside. It's very arbitrary. It's purely based on aesthetic reasoning, not on logical reasoning. Now the currency is the fault, but the way we have a current what they call fractional reserve system, that is probably the most cancerous system you can ever give in any economic conditions, any nation.
Well,
Rothschild banking.
The whole thing is a bunch of bunk. I mean, it's set up just to where they can literally take everything. Now money's not an object anymore. They're not even concerned about money anymore. They're not even concerned about the gold. Now they're after the natural resources. And, they are just simply going to make everybody in every country live like they're in a third world nation while they literally just rape the world's natural resources. That's where we're at.
Now, speaking of sovereignty earlier, that presidential candidates we touched on a little bit are really going to have the power as being the puppets. But I want to touch on Trump one more little time about a comment that Terry wanted to put in, which is so true. A few days ago, on I believe it was Twitter, he had called a Saudi Arabian prince dopey.
Okay.
Just take that as far as what the level of diplomacy this guy has, as far as respect for other people, even if they are dopey.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we want our president saying that. And then to go into, do you think he is completely under the table part of the elitists, if you will, the fire? Even if they are really, honestly, for the sake of his own business, just wants to become a president? Or do you think he was told and appointed and said, hey, you should run for president?
Honestly, I think Trump is a distraction.
Well, yes, but was he started as an attraction, or do you think as a businessman he honestly wanted to just move into the next state of real estate, the White House?
I don't know. I don't even think it's that. I think he was a distraction from the beginning, and I think he's being played as much as we are being played, because Trump has these huge control issues. That's why his ex-wife, is not allowed to say anything. As far as I know, she has some type of a hush order put on her or something to that effect, to where she can't even talk about their divorce. She can't talk about their life together or anything like that because of...
Yeah, that might have stemmed from some unverified reports I have of some rape going on even.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that involves Trump. But I think it's a distraction, and I think what it was is I think people were starting to catch on all sides. I think Democrats were starting to catch on, because even they are getting frustrated because Obama is doing absolutely nothing that he said he was going to do. The Obamacare plan that came into effect is totally different than what he campaigned on. It's just a totally different thing. I freely admit, even though I'm ashamed of it, I still admit I have voted for Obama the first time around, because the things that he said sounded wonderful. The things he said really was a direction that this country needed to go. But the moment he took office, that got turned upside down. And Obamacare became something that was just absolutely unbelievable. And a lot of people may not realize Obama did not write Obamacare. Absolutely did not. Do you know who did?
I can guess the type of jobs these people were, but I don't know the specific entity that did.
I think it was Romney.
That would make sense why they had the debacle going forth as far as a presidential candidate. Because, after all those debates, they go back and have dinner together and talk about all this.
Yeah, it was either Romney or but it was a Republican that did it. It's just like the Patriot Act. That was all ready to go. That was all written and just ready to be signed. McCain was a big part of the Patriot Act. But I think people started to really wake up. And I think they started to wake up with people like Obama, with people like McCain, with Kerry, with Hillary Clinton. I think people started.
Oh, God. I don't ever want to do anything about Clinton. No talking about Clinton.
But I think people were waking up. And I think people were starting really to question the whole process of government and how it worked and what control they really had. And I think they needed a distraction. I think they needed something to fire it back up again to get people to believe back in the system that their process really works. And Trump has done that. People are absolutely mesmerized by this guy. And I mean, smart people. I'm friends with a lot
people that were part of the InfoWars crowd have completely bought into it.
Yeah. I mean, people that claim to be totally awake, and it's just like, and I'm going to touch a sore here.
Wow.
That's just like the anti-Muslim crowd. Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that people can't conceive at all that not all of them are jihadists or crazy or want to kill Christians, or it's not like that. It's not like that at all.
And therefore, I'd like to openly say that, and I think you agreed with me on this before, if you still do, it's not that we need to ban Muslims from the country. We need to ban, just for 24 to 30 months, maybe a little bit longer, ban everyone, close all borders effectively.
Oh, yeah.
We're legally in a state of emergency right now as far as the collapse that's going on. We need to completely effectively close the borders for a little bit to focus on the poverty, literally people on the streets, about 60-some-thousand veterans just on the streets, and people want to have to take refugees in when you have 60,000 veterans on the street.
Exactly. It doesn't have anything to do with fears or Islamophobia or anything like that. It's we have to fix our country. We have to lick our wounds, but we have to stop getting wounded in order to be able to do that.
And most of the hate toward America is not because their scripture says go kill these type of people. It's because of fucked up foreign policy combined with the amount of complacency of the American public. They lift their government, run amok around the world, and do whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people that want to blame politicians and they want to blame this guy and that guy. And really, we have to blame ourselves because we are the ones that, we the people.
As Bill Cooper said, that if you want to know the problem that's wrong with this country, go in your bathroom right now and look in the mirror.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of complacency is unbelievable. There's people that you will see will get on social media and they will totally rip other people apart on their beliefs or their religion or their gender or whatever the case may be, but they won't do anything for real. I see all these people that are huge Second Amendment supporters and all that, but only on Facebook. You don't, even if you see an event being organized for like, for instance, like a rally for a Second Amendment rally at a state capitol, you see a handful of people show up.
No, sorry, someone's showing me. What exactly is the? Do you want food? No, thank you. Sorry, I should just ask me that. Okay. I had a few people watching the house and dogs for me while I do this. Oh. It really means they're just playing their poker and BSing their time away, but
Oh, okay. They aren't over there by that beer pong table, are they?
Yeah, but there's a poker going on instead of beer pong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
talking about complacency. Nothing against them, but you just kind of see look where we are, and look where most people would like to be on their Monday night, let alone a Friday or Saturday night.
Exactly. And the biggest thing I try to remind people is, we're about to lose everything. Just because right now people still have their HBO or still have the ESPN, they've still got their iPhone or whatever the case may be, all that's going to go bye-bye. It's just simply going to go bye-bye because the system is imploding, absolutely imploding. I haven't even checked this today. I'll check it right here live on the show if I can get my stupid mouse to keep working. I'll check it right here live on the show, and we'll see what it's at. It's been on a steady decline. Let me switch over screens here.
We're talking about stocks or what?
We're talking the Baltic Dry Index.
Oh, yeah, I would say the stock should be booming considering all the blood running in Syria right now.
Yeah, I mean, it dropped another 2.68% today. And when you're talking about numbers like 508, that's crazy. Back here, I'll show the people on the screen, it was down to, this was a 30-year low. 30-year low. And I want to say that's when they started recording the Baltic Dry Index, but I could be wrong there. It was
also for anyone who doesn't... explain to anyone who doesn't exactly what does that measure to people who don't know.
Baltic Dry Index is raw goods. So, like, let's say you make plastic forks, okay? If you make plastic forks, you have to get your raw plastic from somewhere. So that's basically what it is it's tracking raw goods. It's tracking like the plastic pellets that you use in your factory to make your plastic forks. So,
yeah.
And that's just one example. I mean, anything you could imagine, whether it be grain, whether it would be, this is exports. This is raw goods of any type. It's not just plastic or rubber or grain or, it's basically what's being shipped, and it's going down, and it's been, it was down to 498, which is super, super low. Like I said, I do know that was a 30-year low. I want to say that's the lowest it's ever been since they started recording the Baltic Dry Index. Okay, and we got up here December 1st, we got back up to 598. It bounced up to 598. But right now, we're already, it says 508 up there in the corner here. And to give you an idea, to give you a little bit more of a longer view, this is 5 years. If you notice, the peaks are getting lower and lower and lower. So we are not on a good trend when it comes to the Baltic Dry.
And it's running out of fuel.
Yes. And these are, again, it's raw goods. So whether it's your cell phone that you bought from China, whether it's the plastic or the components, or it's all of that is on a decline.
And that said, let's talk about how they like to artificially inflate the thing and have people looking at it like it's all right. Let's skip back about 4 months back. We had the Dow lower than almost 350 points sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're at Dow today is everyone's 17,369. That's up 104. And we have NASDAQ at almost 5,000 at 4,952. We have Europe at everything's kind of negative, but their FTSE is at 5,800, and the DAX is at a little over 10,000. And Asia is a mix. The Dow is around 2,000. They never really recovered the way we did because they didn't decide to go bomb the hell out of Syria, I guess. But I don't know.
Well, and like they were saying, how they inflate the numbers, they play with the numbers. Yes, all the normal stocks and stuff, they play with those figures, so you can't get a good, real understanding.
Yeah, when do you ever hear about the Baltic on your Fox News or your CNN or your ABC?
You don't, because that's a little bit harder to manipulate than what it is the Dow, or it's not like one single and quote unquote investor can go.
No, that shows you how hard the internal middle class is working, if they're even there anymore. And we just got an article. I don't know if I want to see if I'll send it to you, but I put it up on our Facebook page earlier that Forbes is, and we all already knew this, but when you start seeing it come out in the major mainstream media sources like Forbes. Middle class definitely on steady decay was something along the lines of what they had said.
Right.
And that's how you people understand. That's a pyramid. If you divide it horizontally up in steps, if you just delete one of the steps, you do not change the shape of the pyramid. It just gets smaller and more consolidated.
Exactly.
And when you take out, which they're going to do, they're going to take out the giant center chunk of this pyramid, just leaving the cornerstone on the top. And it's going to leave it's going to go the same way communism or fascism or social or anything, because they all end up the same. They might be different at first. They're all the same type of philosophy. They're the same end goal. Is one smaller elite ruling class over the masses, or the mob, as they like to call it.
Exactly. And I was going to show you Bitcoin, WebBot, which I follow a gentleman that goes by JSnip4. His name is Joe. And he reads WebBot summaries. And WebBot, it makes more or less predictions, but they're really accurate. And WebBot had said to watch for Bitcoin to go above 408. And when shortly after Bitcoin goes above 408, silver is going to jump through the roof. Now, I just checked silver and gold, and they're still down. In fact, they went down a little bit more. But Bitcoin's continuing to rise. It's not, there was a while there that Bitcoin was on a decline. It's up to $450.22 for one Bitcoin. So I think we better really be keeping a close eye on that. That kind of ties into the reason why we always go to war. All of our major wars, especially the world wars, were essentially over the economy. And
to pull us out of a coming recession into depression. And you notice, I think they call it the 20-year cycle, and that is not even conspiracy stuff to everyone. That is their own words. I read that in APS history. They call it 20-year cycle in the American economy, and it just seems, give or take, about 3 years. Every 20 years, we sink into a major recession, and that's not an accident. That is an inherent part and design of fractional reserve banking.
Oh, exactly. But see, now this time around, though, it's not just enough for a normal reset. They want it to fall again, but when it comes back up, they want absolute control over everything. And when I say,
well, that's the thing. And when they want it to collapse and then go into a global reset and unify us like the European Union.
Right. Well, see, now this time, though, they're wanting more than that. Now they don't just want control over the money. They want control over what temperature you have your house set at on your thermostat. Oh,
yeah. Maybe in the next week or two, we can do a complete episode, really, really digging deep into Agenda 21. And it's already here and coming soon repercussions, especially someone like me, anyone else who gets into this, want to go into organic produce, homesteading, any kind of self-sufficient or sovereign lifestyle. You're kind of signing your death warrant.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not allowing that to happen anymore. God forbid you can entrepreneur yourself off your own land in America anymore.
No. And all you have to do is go look in, go to Google and type in, arrested off the grid. And you will find story after story after story of people that are arrested for all kinds of little bitty infractions. Simply because they wanted to go off the grid. I'm going to pull it up.
Have you been following the whole Ammon Bundy and the Hammond Ranch and all that?
Yeah, I have been.
Last I heard isn't he supposed to be scheduled for a death sentence?
Oh yeah. I don't know about death sentence, but I know that
that's what Pete was talking about. He said that they're trying to try for the death sentence, and he kept repeating it. That was on Friday's episode, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And I had not heard about that. I was like, what the hell are they charging him for? They can give him a damn death sentence. I thought they're just trying to frame him for a minor crime. What kind of crime could they frame him for to give him a death sentence?
Oh, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. I'm just bringing up a couple of the stories here. A lot of them are repeats in Google. But I'm bringing up a story about the loss of kids were taken because the parents were trying to grid.
Yes. There's a Facebook page just had to. They family, I forgot their name, and it was up in Oregon, I believe. And the Facebook went by My Little Homestead. And CPS came and took over 7 or 8 of their, that is it.
Yep.
That is exactly it. And InfoWars did a fairly good job. I almost reluctantly like to say, did a very good job. I guess Pete has taken the Hammond thing. Alex had taken this thing and covered a lot and had them on the line and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I got some good coverage.
And
So let's just say that one more time, make it clear that people, because they're living off the grid per se, that basically tried them for neglect. Which, if anyone who's which I am not, grew up in the South, in between, I'd say up to about the 90s, honestly, or the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was a normal lifestyle. Going outside to play with sticks and play with your buddies is not neglect.
No.
I mean, to play with bugs and butterflies and then to get dirty and you accidentally get bit by a snake or a spider, that's not neglect. That's being a human.
Right.
And that's being complete. And that's what happened to these people. And CPS took all of the, how many children do they have? 8, 7, or 8?
I think so, yeah.
I think they're a Mormon family or something like that, where they were an Irish Catholic family, maybe. But very religious, too. So that really just tells you those are domestic terrorist cells. Those are our number one threat.
That was 10 children. And I can tell you this, okay? I've told you a little bit about my personal situation.
Yeah.
My children, I haven't seen my children for going on 2 years. And one of the things that they had used against me was for the simple fact that I taught my children to question authority. And by that, I don't mean I taught them to be disrespectful. I didn't teach them to disobey a police officer's orders or anything like that. That wasn't what I did. Not at all. But I taught them to think for themselves. And if they thought something was wrong, or if they were being told to do something that was wrong, that they should think for themselves and that they should do what is right. That was actually used against me. The simple fact that I wanted my children to think and to use their own heart and to use their own judgment,
And what was Aristotle charged for?
What was it?
Corrupting the youth.
Oh, okay.
Corrupting the youth.
I used to watch Alex Jones quite a bit, and that was actually used against me as well.
Oh, really? They pulled out the right-wing Patriot News as some stuff, evidence for you. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't matter that the mother was that the mother was abusing the children. That didn't matter. It's something anybody can go to. If you Google this, and I'll do it on screen real quick. If you Google, hang on here, YouTube, sim game it, conversation will be just enough. Right there, that'll be just enough. That will bring up right here, first link. This is actually a conversation that I had with my son the day that I had to leave. That is an actual conversation with he was 8 at the time, and it's almost 12 minutes long, and it it says it all. It really says it all, what was going on inside of our home and the problems that we were having and all that. I took that video because I wanted to get some documentation, because this was the 6th time that my ex-wife has pulled this on me. I was married at the time to her. It was the 6th time that she had ran to a courthouse to get an order of protection, just simply because I told her she needed to seek professional help about her.
And obviously the system doesn't care how many times it happened. No. They're not going to look at that like that's weird or that's suspicious.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's part of their goal. Their goal is to get the fathers out of the children's lives. The goal is to get the mothers and the children on some type of social welfare program. And it's really to bring the society down. And I don't have a fighting chance. The only way I would have a fighting chance is if I can afford an attorney, right, to go in and pretty much force the court to take my evidence. Just this one video alone would be able to do so much. Yes.
Now, how old is the eldest?
Well, he was 8 at the time of this video.
Because I was wondering, I mean, it's sad. I mean, they're going to make it, they make the system where you're not even going to see them until they're 8, if they even want to. I mean, they take the father out of the child then.
Right.
And that's where the feminism is so dangerous. It's just as dangerous as a patriarchal society, because in a patriarchal society you see much more war and bloodshed and banking greed. But in I don't want to say a matriarchal society, because I think that's actually much better. But in a very strong feminism sense that America or the mainstream is pushing, is to have. I think we talked about this one time offline, that they want all the guys in this country, all the middle class working men and fathers and husbands, to come home and watch their football games with their beer and not tune into the Watchman news, not turn into any kind of special critical thinking, not do it themselves, not wonder maybe they should get a better job. And they want women to start working 10 times harder, to the point where they're not gonna be in the right state of mind to be a proper mom and be there for their child. Right. And dad's going to be just an idiot who can't even talk to him.
Right, exactly.
Take that as an anchor. I'm a telemarketer, but I'll take that as a little breadcrumb.
Here, I'll bring us back up on cam. Yeah, I mean, it just it's the way to bring the system down. And like you were saying, it's part of how did you word it? The feminist movement, or there was another way you worded it. By taking the father out of the family, by taking the ability to control people's children away from them. Oh, and you got to love this one. By if your child acts out in any way, get them to the doctor immediately so we can medicate them.
If your child 5 years old and has an issue sitting in a desk and staring at numbers, he needs medication.
Yeah, they're giving.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're giving infants SSRIs now. Infants.
I mean, I grew up on. It wasn't. I came a little bit after Ritalin, where they had some generics out. I think I was using. It was Adderall and Vyvanse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and around the age of I'd say 11, 10, 11, 12, probably around 10 or 11, my mom would give it to me in the car before I go into school, and this is at a Catholic school, private school uniform and everything. And I get out of the car, and I walk out, and you spit it. No, the table. She never saw it. Eventually, I had to tell her, because I was like, she's spending money on it. So I was like, don't buy it anymore. I'm not taking it. Nothing. You haven't noticed a difference. So just, and I don't know. I wonder what effects has it had on me, because that was an everyday thing. 5 days a week, taking. Basically, an agent to calcify my frontal lobe and especially my pineal gland was obnoxious amounts of fluoride.
Oh, they're absolutely doing everything they can to dumb down the American people.
What was one of the biggest amounts of fluoride in it? Prozac.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at this. I was just watching a movie with Jen. I think that was, and I know you've probably seen this. Everybody's probably seen this way long before I have. But Brave New World. And
no, I haven't seen it. I've just watched documentaries based on the book that came before it. I actually haven't watched the movie.
I mean, it absolutely laid out today's society. It really did.
It's not like 1984.
Yeah, it is. They did the medication thing was real close. I mean, their medication gave somebody an absolute high. But it's so close to that now. They've gotten the medications to where you don't even notice how messed up you really are. And
that's the point of the drug. It's not affecting the external parts of the mind, where you're going to be able to look at it like, what the hell's wrong with me? Why am I forgetting? It's going to the very center of your or around your hypothalamus and up to your frontal lobe forward, where it's literally not allowing you to realize what's happening to your body. And when they combine things like, when you said SSRIs, I've heard that before, but what is that tied to? Depression meds, or it's ADD meds, or it's anxiety meds?
I'll explain what an SSRI does. I've explained it a ton of times, and I've gotten pretty good at it. So an SSRI is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Now,
okay. So that'd be affecting for depression meds. Allow you to keep the happy chemicals in your neurotransmitters flowing evenly.
Kind of. Okay. Let me explain this to you. Serotonin is the love drug. okay, in your brain that your brain naturally produces, serotonin. I always explain it by going the opposite direction. If you were to take ecstasy, for instance, ecstasy would flood your brain with serotonin and dopamine. Okay, and as I always say, it makes you want to make love to your curtain, your couch, your cat, whatever, you know. And so it just fills you full of love, you know. So why are we inhibiting that? Why are we taking the serotonin away from people's minds? Well, you're taking.
Well, that's the thing when they say reuptake inhibitor. That's a whole new level. What that means is it allows it to leave the synapse, and then when it stays in there, it's not allowed to re-inhibit or to be uptaked again. So it has to just bounce back and forth, and that lowers the potency because neurotransmitters are taken back up and they're recharged. Yeah. So when you get stuck in the synapse and it bounces back and forth, it loses its inherent potency. And therefore, it's going to allow in a long-term phase you to have much less potent and less frequent neurotransmitters like dopamine or serotonin or norepinephrine.
Right.
So what they do is they're lowering the actual potency of those chemicals in your brain. And therefore, you're going to have to go through a withdrawal phase just to get off of the drug.
Not only that, but in layman's terms, we call that brain damage. Because it does. That's what it does. It prevents the brain from producing the actual proper amounts of serotonin. And I don't mean like for the week or two after your withdrawal period, but even after that, years, for the rest of your life, your brain's no longer producing the serotonin that it should be, and so therefore they're actually permanently taking away people's ability to care about the things that they should care about. You know, people, when they see things flash up on their screen, say, for instance, over in the Middle East, our intro show has several images of young children that have been a victim to attacks. And that should really yank somebody off of their cloud, so to speak. It really should. But somebody that's been under the influence of an SSRI for a length of time, that's not going to affect them in that way. They're just going to look at it. They'll either look away or they'll either just mentally ignore it or they'll just, and it shouldn't. Any normal thinking person, that image should really hit down deep and it should make people question, why are we doing this?
That's why I like, for whatever it's worth, I take it metaphorically so far. David Icke going off on the, not even the reptilian stuff, but talking about the brain, the Archon complex of being completely in the reptilian mindset of just cause and effect, instinct, and whatever's best for the internal self, like cancer.
Right.
And that's, I wonder to what degree, because anyone listening right now, if you don't already know, that's a little fact. The same bloodlines have been in power throughout most of the kingdoms of the world. Tracing that, what would you say, Mike, 6,000-7,000 years even?
Oh, yeah.
If not longer.
Oh, yeah.
And that said, I wonder, this is what David Icke points out, that these people must genetically be different in the way they, I guess we can call it apathy or empathy, the way they're honestly seeing and being able to relate to their fellow human being. They don't see it as fellow human being.
No.
They see it as another target, another soft target. And if you're going to help me, scratch my back, then we can be friends. Otherwise, the way they...
Sorry about that.
That's completely inhuman thinking.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It is absolutely crazy where they've got people in a mental state in this country. They've gotten people to absolutely not care about their fellow countrymen, and coming to that, I want to let me get to Google here, and let me swap the screen over here. Let's see here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the actual definition of a patriot. This blows people's minds to know the actual definition of a patriot.
Now, when was the first definition taken academically? Like worldwide or American-wide, I should say.
I don't
Western
know.
worldwide. That's something you got to tie to. Exactly what time was this coined in the 18th century, before or after? Because that would really,
I don't know. The interesting thing is, is the definition has changed.
Yes.
Because I can tell you right now.
Well, now the definition of a patriot is number one domestic terrorist threat. So.
yeah, pretty much. Basically, a patriot wasn't somebody that just cared about their own country. It also cared about their fellow countrymen. And that was really enforced in history in the definition of a patriot. And now, wow, that is crazy. Let me go to let me pull back that way back machine, and I will prove to people.
Oh my God, hold on, go back a sec, go back 1 second. 1 second, I want to read that out loud. This is ridiculous. The definition now of a patriot, and I wanted to highlight a certain point. One who loves his or her country and supports its authority and interests.
Yes.
Let me repeat that one more time, just the second objective clause of that sentence. And supports its authority and interests. In words of Bill Hicks, you are free, America, to do what we tell you. You are free, America, to do what we tell you.
Exactly. It absolutely changed. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to pull up the Wayback Machine and see if I can pull that definition from a captured image from the history. Okay. This is crazy.
This is obnoxious. This is a freak show. Black is white, up is down. I mean, this is completely upside down. I mean, black is up and white is down. That's how messed up this is.
It says this, want to search. Yes, I do. Let's see. Oh, that by the way, the Wayback Machine doesn't have that page archived.
It even says,
Wow. I would do anything to have an old dictionary. Do we happen to have an old dictionary, dear?
No.
Here, I have an idea. I'm going to go to, oh my God, no.
I mean, this
didn't work out that well. I was going to search old encyclopedias and old dictionaries about what the word was, but not getting good results. Well, we know in our hearts what that word means, but we're just trying to see right now for everyone listening, what did the denotation of it academically at one point? What was it? Well, patriot is obviously is two different words put together, and the pater coming from Latin meaning father. So let's see what the rest wants to give me. I get the same thing.
Here you go. Hey, here's the 1828 edition
Hell yeah.
of Webster's Dictionary. A person who loves his country and zealously supports and defends it and its interest. And also, it means patriotic, devoted to the welfare of one's country as patriot zeal.
Okay, so it's not as bad as now, but you still, in that 50 years or so, saw a little difference as far as trying to make it more concerned with the interests of the national state, which is obviously an important thing. But one thing about the American ideal is that it's supposed to representing the whole of humanity.
Right.
We are not our own culture. We don't have our own religion. We're not our own race. This is the whole world as a country.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's.
So the interests of the United States should be the interests of humanity and parallel that in every way, in every facet.
Right. Right. I mean, it's ridiculous how much has changed. Because again, once you change
old,
yeah. I thought
not young. Language just becomes so dumbed down in itself. What does old mean? It's not young, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, and that's all part of it, is it was to change the language so we don't even speak it now. I mean, and I know Alex Jones covers this a lot, and it's important. But the words that are being banned, California's banning or trying to ban mother and father, and
like his or her, boy, like for gender equality. Like, what the fuck are you coming from?
it just doesn't make any sense. That they're doing everything they can to destroy our language. I'm a George Carlin fan, and
yeah.
He said it best when he talked about, words themselves.
Euphemisms.
Well, he talked about words themselves are just that. They're words. It's about the context that those words are used in. One word I just say is retarded or retard. And a lot of people are just so offended by that. And I can tell you right now, I never in a million years would use that word to insult somebody that had some type of a mental issue or.
Well, it's exactly what Carl's talking about. It's the context. If I'm saying that my mom my mom suffers from Gardner's disease, ALS. Anyone out there? Shout out. I know what you're going through. I would explain it maybe in a certain words that mom has retarded generative function or neurological function in her legs. In that context, there's no insult there. I'm talking about the development, or I say the lack of development, and the dying off and necrosis of development. That's what retarded means, is to slow back and decrease negatively eventually.
Right.
So when you say no, that he shouldn't vote, he's retarded, that's a totally different concept now. It's a totally different, that's context, it's not the word.
Right. Or my dad taught me.
Oh, I have a German Shepherd going crazy. I'm going to turn you up on loud. We tried this the other day. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Everyone can hear me. Go ahead.
Yeah, my dad, when I worked on cars and stuff all the time, back in the day before the ignition systems they have now, they had distributors. And when the timing would be off on it or whatever, you would say, the timing is either retarded or advanced, and you could speak freely like that. But now today, if somebody would be standing next to me and I would say, well, your timing's a little retarded, they would flip out. They would absolutely flip out. And it's crazy. It's a word. It has a definition. It has no hurt behind it. It's the intention that it's used that would cause hurt or, But it's ridiculous. And they're doing that because they are trying to control every narrative of our lives. And
well, that's something I wanted to cover at one point. I don't know how true this might be because I've never heard it. It's an assumption I have. But I wonder, the English language itself seems to be either accidentally or intentionally is structured for subliminal messages, almost to be a very pervasive and constant thing. Like the English language can be used very primitively and in a certain poetic way, as we know many higher degree Masons will use. You can say a certain statement out in public and everyone's going to think you're talking about some guy who was nailed to a cross per se, or was born of a virgin on a certain date. But to those who know the cryptic language of English and other, I'm really on to English, it's allowing for subliminal messages to pass through, because the English language stems from Hebrew, from Greek, from Aramaic, from Latin, mainly Latin. And you're allowed to slip in different words if you know the etymology of words. Consciousness is a big word. People don't understand what that word means.
Right.
Consciousness, if you divide it, or just say the word conscious, not conscience, which to me have two little different definitions, but the same thing. Con in Latin means with or together. And it's a duality. It means being, two things united as one in the subject. And SCIO is skio or shio, which in Latin would derive into Greek. And at that one time also is where we get schisho from, or schizo, which means to split. So consciousness, and also they derived also scientia, or SCI from it, which means knowledge. So knowledge to them was very close to the concept of discrimination, distinguishing, and that has to do with what our language is based on, discrimination of subject and object. And they always saw knowledge as the same way. So a conscious being is that which is no longer seeing itself and the whole world all as one object, but it can now discriminate between subject and object. And therefore you have adjectives, descriptions can come out, your own opinions, communication and language can be born from that.
Right.
People don't understand what that word means at all. And that's, I really want to get out a lot on consciousness is really that is the warfare playground right now. That's the front in which is being attacked. It's not like our bodies or our minds or our education system. It's not a culmination of, it is the consciousness of humanity is being delved down into a lower primitive state. I don't think we can use the word evolution anymore. We have to use the word de-evolution.
Right.
Or ironically, you could pronounce it devolution.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, like how that was.
It's crazy what's going on. It really is. It really is. Probably need to go ahead and get wrapped up. I can see.
Yeah, good. We did almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. I see Jen's eyes getting heavier and heavier.
Oh, I am too. I'm sweating like a, or should I say, antelope in the Serengeti. I'm ready. I'm good. I appreciate guys so much, Jen, having me on, and hopefully everyone watching, I'm going to be a consistent part of this if I keep up my end of the deal. That is.
Yep. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Figure out your time zone from there.
All right, man. I appreciate it, and I will let you guys go. Everyone have a good night, light and love, and namaste.
Yep, exactly. Everybody be one with your spirit. Go with peace and be with love. And I think that ought to about do it.
All right. And as always, I'll cut out a little early for you to say anything else. As always, expect us.
I'll do that. See y'all tomorrow.